partnering with the Union for an IET win. My name is Melissa Salinas, and I'm the proud Adult Education Administrator for Region 1. In this Workforce Wednesday, our hope will be to share our success with IETs in partnering with our union, IBEW, the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. And we're hoping that through this session, you'll learn the benefits of being able to do this and gain the knowledge you need to connect with your own local unions. As we all know, success is not something that happens alone, so we do have an amazing team behind us. So I'd like to introduce our Region 1 team, and that's Miss Angelica Gonzalez, who is actually here in the room with me. You'll hear from her in just a few minutes. And she is our program coordinator and also oversees our IET program. And then we have Miss Lourdes Cervantes, who you'll also hear from today, and she is our career transition facilitator. And then we have our partners, and his team is there as well. Mr. Sergio Salinas, who is the chairman, RGV Laredo JATC, and business manager for IBEW 1015. And Mr. Osvaldo Cavada, the training director for RGV Laredo JATC and member of IBEW 1015, and we have Miss Tammy Casas, who is a big part of their team as well. They're with RGV Laredo JATC. So welcome everyone, and we are going to get started with Mr. Sergio Salinas, who is going to talk to us about how this partnership started, because they actually came to us at that point after some conversations that had previously happened. So welcome, Mr. Salinas.
Hi, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sergio Salinas. I'm a business manager for IBEW Local Union 1015. I represent labor. Also, I sit as a chairman at the JATC, which is the education department. But we're going to start on how this led to our partnership. Back in 2019, my son, Joaquin Daniel, went to a teacher's preparation classes with Region 1. After talking to my son about Region 1, came and I spoke to the previous AEL administrator and learned about the program. I was asking questions about what is the Region 1 all about. So talking to the previous administrator, she told me a little bit. We met and I learned about what the program was about. It's about helping, I would say, low-income people that wants to be successful and maybe we don't have the opportunity. So Region 1 had those benefits on our partnership. After the qualification that I heard from them, that they will give good qualifications and help them out, learn more about them. With the previous administrator, I met for about 4 or 5 times. We talked several times. They came to my office. We had real good conversations. But unfortunately, we never got to a point. That was back in 2019. Talked about the AEL. We spoke about what the JATC is about. Our apprenticeship program is about ladies and gentlemen that wants to become electricians. That's what the JATC is about. Going back from 2019, 2020 to 2022, emails, thanks to Tammy, she loves following up. And it was like every month, hey, what's going on? What's going on with Region 1? We're calling the previous administrator and, well, we're looking into it. Well, we're going to do this. We're looking into that, and etc. So back in June of 2022, that's when I met Miss Salinas, Miss Melissa Salinas, who she's the administrator for the AEL with Region 1. After meeting with her, I think we met once. She came and she said, look, Mr. Salinas, I'm going to look into my budget and we'll have an answer pretty soon. And with the experience that I had in the past, I'm like, maybe another 2 more years from now. But no, believe it or not, Miss Salinas came back in 2 days and she said, you know what, let's go for it. And I'm like, wow. She finally said yes. Somebody from Region 1 finally said yes. So I really appreciate Miss Salinas taking the opportunity to joining with us and helping us out. And when she finally said yes, she said, when can we start? And I'm like, whoa, now we were not expecting that so fast, right? But she said I could start in August. Said, okay, let's get into it. And I started getting with my staff. We got into the curriculum. We also sent the outline to become a vendor's forms. We completed all that. And I would say in November of 2022, we had our first class of 13. We did have a lady that wanted to start on that program, which for me, my foreman, when I first started as an electrician, she was a woman. So I was real proud that somebody from the Rio Grande Valley was gonna start being with Region 1 as a woman coming into our JTC. I'm real proud of it. And I guess on my part with Miss Salinas, that's where we started this relationship, and it's been going pretty good. So
Yes, so that's how we got started with everything, and it's been a great partnership. And so let's talk to them a little bit about the recruitment on your side, Mr. Salinas, and how the process that you all do as far as the recruitment once they come into your office.
Well, let's say, for example, we get a call and you know what? I want to become an electrician or I want to join the IBEW. If they want to join the IBEW, that's a totally different process. But if they want to become an electrician, we set up an appointment with them. They come in, we take down all their information. One thing that we do, if they have a degree or if they have algebra, they go on a different route. If they don't have that algebra, then we refer them to regional. That's our part.
that's one of the main common parts. As of going into the IBEW, well, it's membership where they have an opportunity. Once they get educated, they can have choice, go to the IBEW. And that's where it goes all the way to, we're all global. The United States, Puerto Rico, and Canada. So looking for a job is not going to be hard. We try to keep them here locally because that's the whole purpose of educating them. It's not just to educate them and send them up north. We want them here with their family. And that's where the IBEW strongly encourages them, look, get educated, see what we're going to have to offer you guys here. You don't have to go up north. Take care of your wife, take care of your kids. Especially nowadays, you can more than likely know what happens when single mothers have to take care of their kids, and it's hard. So imagine if the father's never here. That's why we try to keep them here. The other way of recruiting them is by Facebook.
Right, we also have a Facebook, and now our students are mostly word of mouth. Other than having a Facebook page, we really don't advertise. It's mostly word of mouth. And of course, when they come in, they hear of all the benefits that they're gonna get. That convinces them pretty much.
Especially when they're making $14 or $16 an hour to start here in the Rio Grande Valley, and they have pension, they have benefits. So they start more than likely to start saying, hey, look, man, go to Region 1, go to JTC. They're going to help you stay here in the Valley and make you pretty good money on it.
So there's several benefits in joining the union, but I believe one of the misconceptions is that it is forced upon them and that they would have to. So can you speak to that, Mr. Cavado or Mr. Salinas?
Yes, during their training with us, we only mention it once. They always ask, tell us about the union. I'm like, well, we'll have Mr. Salinas, who is the business manager, come and explain to you about what the union is. We'll set up an appointment with them, and it's usually after class and towards the end, but it's not mandatory for our training. It's up to them. If they want to work non-union as an electrician, that's fine. But once they hear the benefits that the IBEW has to offer, they change their mind real quick.
Especially when they're working side by side or they're getting educated side by side. So you're an IBEW member. Tell me what's that about? Well, I have a secure job. I don't have to worry about it. I just go online and look where the jobs are at. And I don't have to be negotiating my pay rate either. So when the guy talks to the other one, that's where it starts word of mouth. So we try to keep it education as education. When they need to find out about the money and all that, that's when we start. You know what? We have orientations besides the class. It's on Wednesdays at 7 o'clock in the morning, so they will not interfere with the class. So we try not to keep it inside class. We try to keep it outside. But again, when they're working on the field, why are you making more money than I am? Well, this is why the IBEW has negotiated my rates.
So in hearing all of this, to those that are viewing with us today, you can see after speaking with the IBEW team, it was easy for me to say yes, because I saw the benefits in the partnership right away. Our students would be getting higher salaries. They would have an automatic employment because Mr. Salinas many times already has a count of how many people he needs before classes even start. So immediately there was a benefit, and there was a vision that we established right away. We knew what we wanted for our students, how we were going to work together in order to make sure that we got them the best training, the best on-ramps, everything that we could, and knowing how to coordinate. So as he spoke earlier, there was a process. We went through the vendors, got them set up, did everything we needed to do to make sure that we could have them as a training partner. Once they do their screening and they do their part, and it's someone that is available and will qualify for our program, then that's the coordination that happens on our side. So at this point, we're going to have Ms. Lourdes Cervantes and Ms. Angelica Gonzalez speak on the coordination and what happens then on our side once they send us a list of those that have been screened on their side, and what happens then once they come to Region 1. So go ahead, ladies.
What I end up doing is communicating with one of the assistants, some of the other staff within the JATC office, and they provide me with the listing of the participants. We set up an informational session. We set up the dates for all of the classes. We communicate that between myself and her. She provides the interested participants with the informational session dates and everything, and then we conduct the session, which is about an hour to 30 minutes in length, that we work with them in, first of all, the informational session, and then the required testing and assessments after that. Ms. Gonzalez, I don't know if you have more to add to that part of how you all set that part up behind the scenes.
As far as the orientation and informational, I think that's about it. One of the things that we do stress with them is that we know that the electrician program does require the math skills. And so that if they don't have that background, that's where we step in to help them so that they can make sure that they are ready for that part of the training. So as part of the informational, we do tell them that they'll have to take a math baseline just so we can assess where they're at. One, mainly for eligibility, but then the second part is to also determine where the student's at and where are we going to need to work from to build them up so that they can have those math skills that they need to be successful in the actual training part of the program. So that part all kind of done within the time that we're meeting with them during informational sessions, orientation, the intake, and just kind of getting a feel of the student and what they're bringing as far as experiences, and then also what might be going on in their home life. Like, are they fit? Are they a candidate for the program, considering the time constraints and the dedication it's going to take? So that's all done during the orientation, informational sessions. And then as part of the setting up on our end, we were able to identify one of our GED instructors who was really strong in the math background. Lucky for us, he actually has a PhD and he teaches the high level classes at a local high school. And his main focus of study education is math. So we were lucky on that sense that we had somebody in-house, and we had him meet with the training director there at JATC so that he could get a feel from, okay, when the students come to you, what are they going to need to be prepared with? What math skills will they need? And what can we do to help them get ready? So they shared their curriculum with our math instructor, went through what they would be learning during the training part. And we really focused on putting together a scope and sequence within the on-ramp classes to make sure that every single skill and everything that they were needing was going to be provided during that time so that there wouldn't be any gaps and so the students would be successful. So we went through that part first. Once that was set up, then we started our first class and we went through it. You live and you learn. A few things we've changed up since then, but the on-ramp, I think, is one of the most important parts of all of this because it really helps us in getting the students ready so that when they go over to the JATC, there's no hiccups, they're not struggling with the training. And then it also helps us to identify those commitments because we have our on-ramp scheduled same time, same day that they would be attending the training. So if we're seeing that they're not showing up, the commitment isn't there, then we're able to identify that from the very beginning before they hit the training part. And then we've lost a seat or we can't replace that student. So that on-ramp is probably the most important for us for many reasons. So once they start the training and they start going over to JTC for the electrical training part, our math instructor who does the on-ramp goes in, meets with the instructor, visits with the students and finds out what areas are they still lacking? Are they still struggling with? Are you seeing that maybe it's taking them too long to compute a certain measurement as they're doing the training? Let me go back and focus on that. So he meets with the students, gets a feel of what are they doing, where are we struggling, and where do we need to go back and provide the support. So that's done during the contextualized/training part of it. And then on Ms. Lewis's part, keeping up and making sure that students are attending class and that they're getting what they need on all levels to make sure that they get through the training and that they are successful and that they don't have too many problems in getting through that. But that's the whole on-ramp contextualized training part of it. We're just lucky that we ended up with someone in-house that had that strong math background and that took in this electrical IET as his own. He created it from scratch and was very involved and he embraces it. So that part of it, I think we were very lucky, and it's made setting it up a lot easier.
And it definitely helps with the transition for the student. They come in and often saying, I don't know if I'm that strong in math. And just his method of instruction and such is really reinforcing to them. It is very quick turnaround time for the on-ramp classes, but the students so far that I've been here, we haven't had a student leaving because they felt it was too difficult or too hard. So he teaches in a way that really is very catered for the students that are in each of the classes to help them make that transition. Because some will say that they are a bit intimidated at the beginning with the math part, but his method of instruction, the way he targets it, really caters it all for each of the students, really helps them come along with it.
And Mr. Caballo can kind of jump in now and explain a little bit like the training, the hours that are mandated for the certification, and then how we communicate as far as who's already received their first OSHA, and then how when they test out, how that's communicated back to us. So we can turn it over back to JATC on that part of it.
Yes, ma'am. The training, it is a 96-hour training. They come to class Monday through Friday, 4 hours a day. And in the first 2 days, we knock out the safety part, OSHA 10. They get their OSHA 10 certification. Then we do the core curriculum. Core curriculum would be your basic math, basic hand tools, basic everything for the construction industry. After that, they go into the level 1, which is the electrical part. They do everything from theory, from residential wiring, commercial wiring, conduit bending. We cover all those. That's why the math is very important. Once they do that, we do hands-on activities. That is a requirement for NCCER, that is the National Center for Construction, Education, and Research. We follow that curriculum, which is a national certification. Once they finish everything, they get a final exam where we go over everything. They have to show me proof that they did it. Their hands-on activities. They got to show me how to wire this, how to bend that. And once they do, that's it for that. They pass the class. Again, the math is very important.
Job placement, where do job placement comes in is on my part. Again, I work real close with the JTC department. Why? Because first of all, I need to trust the JTC in order for me to put somebody to work. There's too many people that could say, well, I know how to do this, I know how to do that. And that's where I work real close with the JTC. I need to make sure that what the instructors are teaching is what I'm going to provide to my contractors. Because at this point, I usually have anywhere from 14 to 16 contractors here in the Rio Grande Valley, non-union and union. Again, the IBEW states union because we want our benefits. So we have contractors out there that they pay. We have an agreement, verbal agreement and written agreement, where the guys that we're going to send out there, they're going to be qualified. Meaning that if I send a first-year apprentice, at least he knows his basics. He's going to go out there, get some material. He's going to know what the material is about. The contractors, they're not going to be out there spending money, going and thinking if this guy knows what he's talking about. So job placements, it's real easy for me because I have the contractors. And our contractors and they trust on what I'm sending is what they're going to be paying them. So it's a total of 15 contractors. And those contractors, if they ask me, look, Sergio, I'm going to need, starting January or February of next year, I'm probably going to be asking for about 25 guys that are starting the first year. Why do I want to get the first years? Because they're going to start from the underground. Underground, they need to know real good measurements because they're going to be running pipe underground. And the contractors are going to be like, okay, I'll pay this guy this much, but I know he's worth it. So this is the contractors that I have in the Rio Grande Valley. How do they get the job in the Rio Grande Valley? They will come in at 8 o'clock in the morning. If there's a job placement on the recorder, we put on the recorder and we say, well, we need journeymen. And if you need a journeyman by state, there's 1 journeyman to 2 apprentices. So what the contractor does in composite crew, they'll ask me, okay, I need 2 greenhorns that attended school because that's their future. That's their competition that they're going to be seeing on the future line, that I'm going to be competing as a contractor. The guy that goes to school is going to be competing against the same contractor, but they're not going to underbid that project. Why? Because they know that being with educated guys or students, they're going to have their own company at one point. That's our goal. As the IBEW, my goal is to put non-unions or union contractors with educated students from the Rio Grande Valley. That's the job line on our side. That's the opportunity if they call and they have a job experience on their side. We are working in SpaceX. I have about 110 ladies and gentlemen, apprentices from all over the Rio Grande Valley. So ST Electric is a non-union contract. He has 40 students, either from the first, second, third, or fourth, or fifth year program. Right now with Region 1, we're only doing first year, which I hope Ms. Salinas and our team could improve years on our profession instead of just doing the first years, level 2 and level 3, meaning that, okay, I'm a third year apprentice. I don't have to come to the first year. I already know the basics. So is there like a class for me as a third year with Region 1? That's where Ms. Salinas' team and us were working together. Going back to our contractors, union or non-union, again, ST is non-union, Global is non-union, Jaimes is non-union. We have a whole bunch of them that are non-union and they're still participating. We get together and we come, look, this is how much they make and this is how much their benefits are going to be. Let's just say one of my students comes up to me and says, well, Sergio, I don't want to work here in the Rio Grande Valley because $18 is not enough for me. We're educating them to stay here, but they also have an opportunity to go anywhere in the United States, Puerto Rico and Canada. And it's just a phone call away. Try to keep them here in the Valley, but I can't stop every single one of them. The good thing is that they're working here or up north, but they have insurance for their families, which is one of the things that the contractor pays. It doesn't come out of their pocket, and they have a pension. We want to start educating these guys so when they get old, at least we have something to fall back on. That's one of the things that we highly recommend for our guys.
So far we've had 46 participants go through our program since we started it last fall. We have 66% that are currently active in the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers, IBW members. 55% are working with union contractors, as Mr. Salinas explained the difference between union and non-union contractors earlier. 34% are non-union members, and out of those 46 students, 7 individuals are, we say unemployed, but it's usually because they are in between projects at the moment. And JATC assists us with doing the follow-ups with a lot of those individuals. At the time, they're usually in between jobs or such, so we mark those as unemployed, and those are non-union individuals for the most part. And then 3 are self-employed or running their own family businesses. We have had some individuals where one family member comes into one class and then another family member comes into the next class. So we have at times even some generations that are coming in, a father and son coming into the classes, and so it varies. A lot of them will come through the program and they end up having their own family employment already. 36 are employed, as Mr. Salinas was describing there, the employment process for a lot of them. And we have one that is incarcerated at the moment. They do follow up every month with the individuals to find out what their status is. She provides very in-depth reports to us on the status of not only the class that just finished, but they continue with all the individuals that have gone through our program. So the last updates that they had participants from our classes from the first group in October 2022 or in November 2022 that finished through that time all the way up until this last class that we just had finished. And so some challenges that we have done, as Ms. Gonzalez stated earlier, we've made some changes to when we first started with the program, some lessons learned. One of the things we did is we expanded our on-ramp from 12 hours, which was within 1 week, to now 24 hours, which we've had it in different forms where we met twice a week for the on-ramp on Monday and Wednesdays for 3-hour classes, up to a month where we stretched it out for 2 weeks, Monday through Thursday during the summer when our instructor was available to do it during the day, and did it for 3 hours as well, Monday through Thursday. So it's varied the times how we've set up the on-ramp, regardless of the time period that we've done it, the format that we've done it in. The students have been very successful getting through the on-ramp classes. But we did that just to give us a little bit of flexibility and wiggle room for the students to complete their hours in with us as well. And then, as we mentioned, that consistent communications, for instance, this last class, as soon as they transitioned over from our on-ramp to their hands-on classes with JATC, within a few days, I get notification from JATC with the students, copies of the students' OSHA cards that are shared with us, so that way we can record that on Teams that the students have obtained that skills progression with their OSHA cards. From there, the students also coordinate with the roster and our attendance sheets and such. And then at the end, JATC, for instance, for this last class that is going through, has already notified me that they're already working on the certifications from NCCER, so that way we get the notifications about the students completing their certifications and being full level 1 electricians. And so this is the listing about the IBEW chapters that are throughout the state.
So let's just say that one of the guys wants to go to Dallas. He does not have to go all the way to Dallas, Texas, and ask them if they have a job. They could just get online. These are the unions that are here in the United Texas part. We got an office in Dallas, also one in San Antonio, as you can see, Local 72, Waco, Corpus, Texarkana, Beaumont, Austin, Galveston, El Paso, Amarillo, Wichita Falls, and Houston, Texas. So anybody that wants to travel, we got their information. There's a business manager. Not all business managers are in our jurisdiction. Before you get to a business manager, there's an organizer, which that is also one of my titles that I have here in the Rio Grande Valley. But being that this is the newest local, we're only 26 years old. So we're still not at that point to have an organizer. But if they call that office number, they'll tell them straight, okay, we have this calls coming up. This is how many people we're gonna need. So that's where we start communicating with our guys. Look, if you want to go up north, there's some opportunities here in Corpus. This is how much they're paying, how many hours you're gonna be working. So the fringes, these are the benefits. And it's just a phone call away. And it's all over Texas. Now, if you want to go global, well, yeah, then there's more options that we could find. But try to keep them here in the Rio Grande Valley. Remember, you try to educate everybody to keep them at home, not to let them go up north.
So the only thing I want to add, there's a comment about the local chapter up in somewhere in Jefferson County in Beaumont. And then there was also a comment or a question about what other services are provided during the contextualized. The partnership and that aligned goals that we have for our students is really what made this possible. When we met with the staff with JATC, we knew right away that their thoughts, their goals, what they wanted for their students is exactly what we wanted for our students. So we knew that it would be a good, solid partnership because we were all wanting the same thing for our students. And one of the benefits that we saw right away was the workforce prep, the actual how do I get a job? What do I need to do to get a job? What is it going to be like to be out in the workforce as an electrician? All of that is provided through the JATC, not because they're Region 1 students, but because that's part of their training. So when we saw that, we're like, that's great for us because that kind of frees us up to do a lot of the workforce prep and other stuff and other programs that don't have a solid workforce prep embedded into their training program. We even kind of joke about when we went over to see their facility where they do the hands-on training, there's no aircon back there in that warehouse. And one of the comments they made was, yeah, because when they go out to the field, they're not going to be working in aircon. They're going to be working where it's hot. It may be cold. It may be rainy. So they need to start prepping and getting ready for that type of environment so that when our students go out to the workplace, they're not in shock. They're not like, this isn't for me. They've been prepping for that from the get-go. We're just lucky that we have a local chapter that is very strong and literally down the road from us. So for us, at least, everything has aligned. And so we're hoping that you all can find a local chapter that does these kinds of services and that it's aligned with what the AEL wants to offer, because it's almost like it was a perfect marriage. Everything was aligned. So those are the things, like I said, we do offer like the additional support with the workforce prep and the job skills, but it's embedded as part of the JATC training. So we don't have to put so much of it into it because it's already being offered. So I will transfer it over to Ms. Salinas. Thank you all for logging on. And if there's anything you all need, just reach out to us.
So there is a question in the chat.
The whole training there in Teams. So in this case, it's the 2 weeks and then all the way through the training, which is the other 96 hours that JATC provides. And so as we were able to gauge, there was a lot of benefits from who's being referred, the initial screening from JATC, the coordination, the benefits of them getting higher salaries as they're employed, both of us creating that vision of wanting quality outcomes for our students, us with the academic and instructional part, and then them with anyone that they referred. So we both had the same goals in making sure that our students we're out there and employers were going to want more from us, knowing, oh, those are Region 1 and RGVJ-ATC employees, we want them. And so that really helped in aligning everything and having those conversations. We're continuously talking to them. We're very fortunate, as Ms. Gonzalez mentioned, to have this team that y'all have met. We're looking forward to doing even greater things. We're looking into the second level all the way to journeyman, where we can get some of these students within a few years owning their own businesses and becoming master electricians in that pathway. So we're excited about what the future holds, and we're excited about how much more we can do for our community with the partnerships such as this. So we have ended our presentation, Dr. Escamilla. Thank you so much. And I'm an email away if you would like to reach out. If there's any other questions, please feel free. We would really love to see more success stories throughout the state. And it's all about sharing. The more we share, the better outcomes we'll have throughout the state, because we ultimately are one AEL team throughout. So thank you so much for the opportunity, Dr. Escamilla.
Thank you so much, Ms. Salinas, Ms. Cervantes, Ms. Gonzalez, and the RGV Laredo Electrician JATC team there. So thank y'all so much for sharing. And I love what you said, Ms. Salinas. Yes, we are AEL. So if there's something great happening at Region 1 with the union and with this training for our students, then yes, let's share and let's see if we could replicate this whole process for our other students, because it can be done and you're proving that it can, and it's a wonderful partnership. So thank you all for collaborating together. And I'd like to thank also Maria Morrow. She was instrumental in referring you all so that you could share. So thank you so much. And there was another question from Mary Jo. She said, what is AEL providing during the 96 hours with JATC?
I think that's the one you answered, right? The workforce prep is what we talked about. Because it's embedded in the initial conversations, there was a lot of dialogue. And so in knowing what they do and how they talk to them about employment, expectations, everything that was there, that's all part of the workforce prep that happens. And so we get to focus on the instructional side, and RGVJ-ATC does a lot of the employer side and those expectations for workforce preparation.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cavada, but there is a module on workforce, the career management, or some part in there in the training.
Yes, there is. That's part of the core curriculum. We do employability skills, communication skills. We cover resumes, all that.
One of the things that we see in class, if they're late, we do get after them. If they're late in class, they're gonna be late at work. And that's one thing that I'm real strict. You do not come in sandals. You do not come in shorts. You don't come in like if you're having a regular class. This is an on-the-job training because we give hands-on. So if they're late here, I'm the one that's going to put them to work. Once they get out there, that's why Region 1 looks pretty good, because they're not missing work. They're not being laid off. But if you're there on time and you're working and you know what you're doing, you have a job, guys.
So real world explanations in real world scenarios, real world training.